Welcome to A Better Way, the podcast dedicated to exploring deep topics in Ellie's book,
Integrating Faith and Psychology in a Better Way.
I'm Isa.
And I am Ellie. Hello, everybody. I'm Ellie.
And I am Isa.
And you are watching A Better Way, the podcast.
Yeah, and it's kind of getting chilly out there. It's November, and we've talked several times about the holidays, how to prep for the holidays, how to find coping mechanisms. Today we have a more somber conversation, but actually it's how to make it manageable.
Right, yes.
We can still take care of ourselves.
Yes. So we're going to talk about surviving the holidays, and it's really a better way to navigate grief during this season. Before we do, Isa, did you know my birthday's right around the corner?
Yeah. Yeah. I found out last month.
So I will be on a cruise. So, but that's enough about me. Let's talk about.
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So who wants to be Ellie?
Yeah, I know, right?
Okay. So grief during the holidays. I think
Yes.
people mention it all the time.
Right. Yeah.
You hear it in passing, like, oh, holidays are hard for people. And it's one of those platitudes that's like we say it very out loud, but we don't think about what that means.
Right.
I think we automatically assume death, right? There's many reasons you could be grieving.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And there really are. I think today we're really going to talk about that, how to, really walk into that season of grieving when you've lost a loved one. I know for me, I wear this necklace. This is my mom. This is my mom's necklace. And I can remember hearing about grief is hard during the holidays. And when you've lost someone, it's super hard. But until you've really lost someone close to you during the holidays, you don't understand that. It was so eye-opening. I almost didn't even want to. The first everything was difficult. The first 4th of July was difficult. I didn't even want to be in my home. I went and disappeared for the holiday. And then the first Christmas, the first Thanksgiving, the first birthday, those are all right there for me. And I can remember really wanting to retreat, but I had kids. I mean, grandkids, kids. I mean, I was still an empty nester. This was 9 years ago. This will be my 9th birthday, my 9th, and that's kind of this is my 9th birthday since I lost my mom. This is my 9th Thanksgiving, my 9th Christmas since I lost my mom. And, I've lost other people in my life, but just really that, my father passed away when I was super young. I was a teenager. But losing my mom that was rough. It was almost like it was an orphan at this point. And so I really had to, because everybody tells you, oh, honey, she's in a better place. And
she's still not with me, though.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
But, it was almost like I was being shamed for grieving the loss of my mother. It was almost like I didn't have faith in God because I missed her. And I know that my faith is strong and I know where she is, but she's not with me.
Yeah.
And that was what I was missing. I was grieving her being with me. And a lot of it was grieving the time that I wish I would have spent with her.
Yes. And I was going to get to that. Sometimes you might be grieving somebody that wasn't even good in your life. I'm not saying that's Ellie's situation, but it could be somebody that departed in a season where you don't feel like you had closed ends, where you had made amends. That sometimes can be even more painful, like an estranged parent or an estranged child, and that you not only feel the grief and the loss of them, but of what could have been, of what should have been. And that's a lot to process when everybody's talking about family and being together. And if you have core memories with them, that's even harder. Core memories around the holidays, sitting around the table, Christmas morning, Thanksgiving dinner and meals. And it's going to come up. Again, we said this in the previous episode. You might want to suppress it. You might want to stand on like, I know she's with Jesus. I know that she's in a better place. But your body might miss her hug or his hug or their hug. Might miss that moment that you looked forward to every year. of having with this person, or didn't even acknowledge or realize it was something you look forward to, but now that you don't have it, you remember it, and you remember it with loss.
Absolutely.
I feel like we forget that we can have a funeral, part with somebody, kind of like just miss it, feel like we're okay, but we forget that certain things are going to make us remember that person, and we're going to have to grieve them all over again. And it might be things that come far and few between. It might be a scent in a room. It might be a meal that it's been years, you haven't thought about it other than good memories and discussing it with family, but one day you sit down to eat a dish you haven't eaten in a long time, and all of this stuff floods from that memory, and you get to grieve again. It's okay.
Yeah, it really is. So I have come up with 6 tips. I like giving tips. So 6 tips to navigate grief during this season. And the first one is to really allow yourself to grieve.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds kind of counterintuitive, but really allow yourself to grieve. Allow yourself to be in the moment and seek God's comfort.
Yeah. It's okay. It's okay to be sad. And if anybody comes at you with a Bible to hit you with it, be like, yes, there is a time to grieve. There is a time to sorrow. There's a time for tears. And this is my time. Like, this is my time for that. There's also Jesus wept, and Jesus went on his own to heal when John the Baptist was decapitated, and he's Jesus, and he knows exactly where these people are, and he has the power to resurrect and the power to but you still can miss what people brought into your life here. Like, we'll meet in heaven, yes, and I'm looking forward to seeing my mother in heaven, and I'm looking forward to seeing all the people that I have lost throughout my life that mean something to me, and giving them a hug and spending that season and that time with them. But there's still a loss here. There are still moments where I wish I could call my mom and tell her I'm going through something, and have their comfort and have their advice and just hear their laughter. And that is okay to miss, because it's not here and you are. And that's something we need to really be okay with not being okay, and allowing people to not be okay and still be in our presence and be able to express that.
Mourning truly is part of healing. You can try to skip it, but if you don't deal with life, eventually it's going to deal with you.
It's that pressure cooker again.
Absolutely. So the next tip is really lean on your faith community for support. If you don't have a faith community, if that's not, kind of, just lean on people that would naturally support you. I have a small Bible study group that meets in my home, and those are my people. I mean, those are like my brothers and my sisters, and those are people that I would first lean on. And of course, I lean on God first, but I'm already seeking his comfort in everything I do, but really leaning on people that will support me without shaming me.
Yeah. And that's very interesting that she says that. And I know it's going to look like a deviation, but it isn't. She just triggered a memory in me. I've always been like, I lean on God. I'm going to lean on God. I just have to trust in God, right? And God sends people. God sends people into our life. And then if we're not open to being able to share each other's burdens, obviously with the right people. Yes, you have to be wise and use discernment on who you share yourself with. Absolutely, no doubt about it. It might take you years to find the person. But if you don't try, if you don't open up, if you don't share life with people, if you don't share the grief, the joy, and the sadness with people, you will never know who are the people that are equipped to come to you. And I experienced this recently where I'm praying for support in a particular way, and I'm praying for God in a particular way. I know God is there. I know he hears me, and there's a comfort to that. But there is a longing as people that we need other people to connect with. But then all of a sudden is like I'm isolating myself. I'm not allowing people to love on me because I'm not making myself available to that. And God is trying so hard. He's like, I already talked to like 5 people. He said, they're just waiting to see you. You're like, where are you? And waiting for you to say yes. And then somebody reached out in the right way. Of course, God knew I needed to be reached out in that particular way. But I'm just saying, it's going to come through people. And it's going to come by you being vulnerable and open to people about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. One of the things that God would send to me is we had this lady in our church, and she would come and give me the hugs. You know, I used to call her my mom hugs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it felt literally like God put my mother, and I know God didn't do this, right?
Yeah.
But God, it's almost like God put my mother in her to give me that hug that she would be giving me,
Mm-hmm.
and it was so comforting for me.
Mm-hmm.
And something that I really needed. And He will send people to not only comfort you, but to share your burdens with you. But, you know, again, like you said, really being discerning of whether or not these people can be trusted.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, and that's almost where sometimes forgiveness has to come in place, because not everyone is a safe person. And, you know, just really understanding who's safe, who isn't safe, and really leaning on them for support, and you know, kind of working through, allowing yourself to work through the grief.
Yeah. And also understanding that, not like we spoke in other episodes, not everybody's equipped to carry certain burdens. They have their own trauma, their own triggers. Just be discernful, but also trust the process. Share how you're feeling. And if you right away feel like people can't even handle that you're feeling a certain way, you know that's not for them. Don't take it personal. Don't hold it against them. Be grateful for their friendships and the parts that they do, you know, compliment you, and then move on to somebody. It could be potentially almost strangers that understand you better.
Right.
That's where therapy comes in and can be very helpful to even identifying healthy relationships that can help you cope.
Absolutely. So next is creating new traditions that reflect hope and healing. You know, I have traditions that I've put in place that remind me of my mother, whether it's wearing her necklace when I'm feeling really disconnected from her, just really needing that extra boost. I wore this on my very first speaking engagement because I was nervous as I get out. But, you know, being close to her, I know she's not in this necklace. It's just a symbol of her love for me. And so that's very helpful for me. What are some traditions that you might have?
For me, honestly, is meditating. When I lost my mom when I was very young, so I don't have a ton of memories to go back to, but just meditating on who she was, who people tell me she was as a woman, and just honestly kind of speaking to God, almost like, can you send this message to my mother? You know, I have done that. I know that God is listening to me, and I know that she was a believer and died a believer, and then I know that I'll see her again in heaven. So it's like, I just kind of send that, and I do get comfort back. And then I start thinking, or God redirects my attention to my own children. Like, you know, you may not have your mother, but you have your children. Maybe be that for them. It's going to be different for everybody. For me, I really have to reflect. I have to go inward because I don't have a lot of tangible things, a lot of core memories with her. I do have some very strong memories, and of her brushing my hair, of her cooking in the kitchen, just like, it's more like scenes. I don't know the sound of her voice. I don't remember things like that. So I was 3 years old when she passed away, but I do have some very strong memories, and I have people's anecdotes of my mother, and I can tie those in together and just hope that in some way I get answers from that. Just her character.
Yeah, absolutely. So the next thing is really practicing daily gratitude and reflection. It's really, you know, what are some of the things that you can be grateful for, whether or not it's I'm grateful for the fact that I had my mother for as long as I did. I'm grateful that, that not that I didn't cause, you know, we don't cause people to accept Christ, you know, we don't, but the Holy Spirit does that. But my life was enough of an example for her to bring her to Christ. And when she died a believer and strong in faith. If I could have half the faith that she had, in the end, she would be, when people would come and pray for her in the hospital, she said, no, don't pray for me. I know I'm good. I want you to pray for my kids. I want you to pray that this isn't, that me going isn't going to devastate them. Those are the kind of prayers that my mother had. I mean, to be like that was you know, and so I'm so grateful for the fact that I was able to be there with her in the end, and I was able to witness this as she witnessed some things from me.
Yeah. And that's that. Yeah, long like that missing. It kind of reminds me when you're going through life and you get those shoulder taps. Like maybe Ellie comes to my forefront of my mind while I'm driving. To me, I always take that as in like a prompt from the Holy Spirit to either pray or reach out, right? Pray for that person or reach out and just pray. Just trust that their person's in my mind for a particular reason and that I need to either pray or text or call or both, right? And I see when we come and we think of people we've lost, I think we should do the same thing. I think we should pray. Obviously, we can't reach out physically, but maybe do something related that brings us closer to that person, because obviously the need is ours, not theirs in that case. So it's like, let me pray for myself, for this missing. Why am I thinking about her? Is there something that I should remember that they taught me that might apply to my season that I'm going in? And just kind of like meditate on that person as if they were alive and you could reach out.
Right.
But just reach out to those memories, something you had to process. Maybe it has to do with an estranged person that you lost, that you are regretting not going through things, and they're coming into your mind, and instead of falling into shame or destructive grief, I'm going to call it destructive grief because grief is important, but destructive, the one that makes you feel like you shouldn't go on in life, like there's nothing more to, because there's some toxic ways of dealing with death and loss, and so maybe it's something you get to process in that moment and be, like, I'm here for a reason. Maybe I need to honor their memory a certain kind of way. What would I have said? What about the people around me that instead of me focusing on this person that is gone and I can't make amends with, who is alive today that I have relationships to mend? And put your energy and your focus on that. I'm saying blanket statements. You would know in your heart what is happening, and trust that. But I'm just giving people ideas on how to see the memory of a lost one differently.
Right.
You can choose how you see that memory coming up to you.
One of the most powerful things that we can do is if we've lost someone, we can still pour out our thoughts in written form or even in audio text. We can. I've heard of people that would send their text to their parent or their loved one, their child.
Listen to old voicemails.
Yeah, absolutely.
Read old letters.
Absolutely. I have a video of my mother that I play back sometimes of her making biscuits and gravy, and so I like to play that back sometimes. I have a poem that she wrote that I like to listen to. I've tried not rewriting the poem, but writing a response to that poem, and I could only get so far. I guess my writing is for books.
More of a prose. She's a poet.
But, I will get there eventually. It will be in one of my next books. I am going to put that poem in there because I will get it written one day. I know that. But even with my father, when he passed away, there was not necessarily estrangement, but there was a lot of things I wish I could have said to him, and I didn't even know he had passed away. There's a whole, family drama about that. But several years ago, I would say probably 10 years ago, maybe a little longer, I had the opportunity to go to Florida and visit his grave, and to really, I put flowers on his grave and I talked to him. I know he wasn't in the grave. I know where he is, and I know I could have done that from anywhere. But there was just something symbolic about just being there. In the Bible, they made these markers, right? And they honored people, and they honored God.
Memorials.
Right, absolutely. And so I was able to do that at my father's grave and really have that conversation with him. And it healed some things in me. I mean, he's dead. I mean, he doesn't have any need for that because, but I needed that. I needed that to process the things that I was going through. And this is really about processing that grief. Allowing yourself to heal, creating new traditions, finding hope and healing, and practicing gratitude.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now we're going to talk about setting boundaries. Again, that self-care, setting boundaries for healing. It's okay to say no. No is a complete sentence.
Yeah, it is. No. Capital N. little o, period,
Absolutely.
sentence.
Absolutely. And then
Yeah.
you'll be done, you know. Can you come over to my house and babysit my kids tonight? No.
And this is
Don't do
what
kids.
what a rambling sentence would look like. So you said no, which is a complete sentence, and that in itself should be enough. Sometimes we feel like we have to justify ourselves. So it's like, no, right now, and we go into this litany of things that actually makes us feel worse because now we're oversharing sometimes,
Absolutely.
or feeling like somehow we're wrong, and we talk ourselves into, okay, maybe I'll go for a little bit, when it was no. It was no thank you, or no, or no. And that's okay.
So Issa could ask me to, she wouldn't, because I don't do kids.
Yeah.
That's
like,
not
hey,
true.
have all 5 of my kids today.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ellie. Bye.
If she asked me to watch her children and I said no, and then I said, well, I've got this really important thing I have to do over here.
It sounds like in the future, it could be a yes, because it's just this important thing.
Absolutely. Or it sounds like, well, this thing over here is more important than I am. And
Correct.
I thought we were friends.
Correct. It's just no.
And maybe it's I say no because I'm choosing me, and I know that my sanity is not going to do well with 5 children. Now, maybe I might want to. There are times that I can say no. For right now, or I wouldn't. No, I could babysit 1 or 2, but all 5 is just not where I'm at. So not related, kind of, sort of. It
is related. I think it's a great example because that's where our emotional maturity comes into place. She can absolutely say no, right? And this is a work that she's done that she knows she can do that, and she can say that. Then there's the dynamic of we have a relationship where she knows she can say no to me, and there won't be any emotional, like, I understand. Actually, it's furthermore, I wouldn't ask her because I know she's in a different season of her life. It would have to be a really big emergency, and I would have had to gone down my phone tree of people that I know have children my age right now that can handle it. Like, I'm just going to say it. I would go to Betty. That's normally she comes to me. I go to her, because we both have 5 children. We have children about the same age. They can play with each other, and we understand the dynamics of all the kids running around. Yeah. So that would be the kind of like the order. I would go to Ellie because absolutely everybody's just in crisis right now. And she's the only human being. And not because I don't trust her, but because I know she's in a different season, and I would have to present it that way. Look, Ellie, it'll be for like 15 minutes, but I can't leave them alone. I have to go to the hospital. It would have to be something.
Yeah, and I would keep them.
And it would be like, actually, you don't even have to have them. They're home. Just check on them every 5 minutes, because I do have older teens. So it would be something more along those lines, and that's okay. And it's okay for you to give grace and respect your friend's boundaries. That's where I come in, and there's a boundary that I'm respecting. And there's a boundary she's making known by no. And this is a season that I'm in, and it's a no. And I don't have to resent her. I don't have to change my relationship with her. I just know now, okay, when it comes to children, she has to be a last resort because of the season she's in. And you can even assess that before she even told me. I understand that. I'm not going to be our pastors. We have friendships that we decide automatically, sometimes unduly, that because we have a great relationship in one area, that we get to just kind of like put all these other parts of our lives that aren't related into another person. And you have to use discernment and really be open in your relationships so that both they know what season of life you're in and you know what season of life they're in. I do believe there's a level of disrespect when we decide that because you're my friend, you have to say yes to me all the time.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's a level of, maybe you're not actually my friend if you believe I have to say yes all the time. Yeah.
So anybody who knows me knows how much I love pottery, and I love to share my my passion about pottery with my friends. Now, I have a best friend who will do just about anything I ask. I mean, honestly, Jacinta will do just about anything I ask her to do. And she has told me, pottery is just going to have to be yours, Ellie.
That's what it is. She's like, I love you, but that's where I draw the line. That's my no. That's my 5 kids.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, that's not to say on my birthday she went and did pottery with me because it was my birthday. Now, for her birthday, we're not doing pottery.
Yeah.
I promise you, we're not doing pottery. Now, she will accept a pottery gift, but she's not going to make it herself. No, she's not. She doesn't want to get her hands dirty, and that's okay. I mean, not like she can get her hands dirty, but with mud.
Not with the mud. That's just not her cup of tea. I get it.
Yeah, I get it. Everything. And we really have to know ourselves in order to say, no, that's not my cup of tea. And there are things that she does that's not my cup of tea. You know, that's okay.
You're like, I love that for you.
Yes.
I'll be rooting for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But, you know, I think as Christians, we think that if we say no to somebody, like let's say we have a family that's in need and they need somebody to help move them. I could try to move them and, you know, I look fairly healthy, right? But I have chronic pain in my shoulders and I have, you know, and I'm not claiming them, y'all. I know because it's
just a reality,
language, right? But it is the reality is that's just not within my capacity to do, and it's okay. It's okay if I can't be at the church, let's say 24/7.
Yeah.
You know, we can set boundaries to take care of ourselves because in the Bible, even Jesus withdrew to take care of himself
so that he can go perform miracles. You have to be able to fill yourself and also pour from a place you have.
Yes.
You cannot pour from something you haven't been gifted for. You haven't been, because what happens is, and this is something I fall prey to because I want to be helpful, because I do have a serving spirit. I know I have that, but that doesn't necessarily mean I say yes to everything that is service. And I could even be capable. Let me take it further. She's talking about physical and ability to carry. I could be completely, fully capable of hauling your furniture and I can still say no. And I can still be in a right position because I have to say no to good things in order to be available for my things. When I say my things, I'm not talking in a selfish only perspective, which is, there's a place for that. But I'm talking about the things that I'm called to do. Right. Because I could be saying yes to helping you move, but I have all this task list that I am committed, anointed, tasked to do that I ignore because I don't want to say no to you, because I don't want to hurt your feelings. I'm not being honest to you, to myself. And then I leave from helping you still unfulfilled because I abandoned something that was something I was called to do. And that happens in life with relationships. And when we're not feeling full and we're not feeling in a particular way, we say yes to things sometimes to distract ourselves, but we're hurting people because we're not fully there, and we're hurting ourselves because we're not allowing ourselves to be refreshed, replenished, refilled so that we're more effective in our pouring. And I think that's what we're trying to go. I know we kind of, it looks like we went away from grief, but it's just a matter of be able to say no, and that be enough explanation. Build relationships in which people understand that your no is still well-intentioned, right? That you still care. Build that kind of relationship so you don't feel like you have to justify every no. You don't. Just like you don't have to justify every yes. Hardly ever do we say yes and why we're saying yes, right? Yeah. But we tend to over-explain our no's. And it's like, it's guilt, it's shame, it's all these things. And you have to acknowledge that. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying you can't tell my friend, I feel like if you are willing to be available in the future, honestly and truly, maybe there's an explanation. Not today, but how do you think if tomorrow, if you want to do it tomorrow, I'll be able to help you? I feel like that's a reasonable no and some extra stuff. But if the answer is no, whether it's today, tomorrow, or after tomorrow, it's just no. Yeah. Sorry. I don't do that. It's fine. You don't even have to say sorry, I don't do that. I think there's a part of me that still feels like I need to give you an explanation. Yeah. But in reality, it's just no. Yeah. And we need to build relationships and build boundaries in which we're comfortable with that. And that we built enough rapport with people to know if I'm saying no, it's because it's no. Because I am there for you in other ways. Yeah. I'm just not about that life. Yeah. Okay, last one. Anchor yourself in the hope of eternal life. You know, when my mother passed away, and I was so blessed to be able to be in the room with her. Some people may think that's a little gory, and that's okay. But just where she was, I felt like I was able to, almost like
Someone had sent me a poem beforehand, and it was just so beautiful. But it was almost like I could see Jesus taking her hand in his, taking her hand and putting it in his. It was almost like there was a passing off. And so I take so much comfort in the fact that I know where she is. And, that's where that anchoring myself in the hope of the eternal. I know where she is. I know she's dancing with Jesus. And if she were to be given the choice to be here or there, she would choose there. Walk it throughout this life and fulfill the purpose that you're here to fulfill. But when it's time to go home, know that you have an eternal life that's not here.
Yeah, and rest in that, and know that we're at peace. There's nothing. It's kind of like that. There's nothing you can do about the future or the past. When it comes to life and death, there's nothing we can do other than try to be present with people while they're here, and then just hold on to what we got from our relationships while they're gone, and know that there is a hope and there's a future. And what you want to do is work on people while they're here, so that we recognize each other in heaven, and we get to see and hug each other in this other place. And it's almost like you have this connection with a person that's in another dimension. You can look at it that way. Like, she's not here, and I'm sad because I want to laugh. I want to hear her laugh. Man, I just want to eat chips with them. I don't know. It's little things sometimes that trigger that really deep feeling of loss. At least for me, it's like I'm missing out on a moment seems not important with the people that I'm in life with, because I do that every day. But I could just give anything to just sit and eat a bowl of ice cream with you right now. But we can have that to really cement us in, let's enjoy what we have now and know that there's a hope for the future. That we'll enjoy more than ice cream, we'll enjoy the presence of God, that's amazing.
Well, Isa, I think we cover this pretty well. Just really, guys, just do you. What's that? Do you, boo?
Yeah, do you, boo?
But it's okay. It's okay to grieve. It is. It's okay to honor the loved one that you've lost. It's okay to make new traditions. It's okay, and you don't have to please everybody else. I mean, don't be rude and don't be ugly. Nobody. We're responsible for our own behavior. We're not responsible for other people. They don't. We just take care of us. Do the things to take care of yourself. It's okay to miss your loved one. It's okay to grieve them. It's okay to set a place at the table if you want to set a place at the table. I encourage you not to try to disappear.
Isolation is not.
It's not healthy. I understand that sometimes, Jesus withdrew, so there are times that isolation is called for.
Short periods of time.
Yes,
we talked about it this way. Didn't we say it's not isolation? It's, oh my gosh, I wish I remembered. I'll probably put it in the comments when we post it. But there's a very similar word, and it's not isolation. It's kind of like separation to heal, like to grow. It's almost like the word holy means separate, right? So it's kind of like finding a place where you can get wholeness. And I will think of the word, but yes, there's a difference between avoidance, I guess, isolation, and then isolation for preparation, I guess we can call it. Preparing yourself to face what's coming sometimes requires solitude.
Yes.
There's the word.
Yes,
okay, so there's solitude and there's isolation.
Right.
Solitude is what Jesus sought out. Solitude with God, solitude with healing, solitude with himself. Isolation is what we do to avoid dealing with our emotions, even interacting with other people in what we're in pain. And it's a normal reaction, but again, we got to choose solitude over isolation. Yes.
All right, guys, just a quick reminder, if you haven't got my book, you can find it at www.eleanorbrowoncounseling.com. It is a better way, integrating faith and psychology. Excuse me, I have a frog in my throat. But integrating faith and psychology to heal inner wounds. And so go out, grab the book, look at the offerings that we have. I've got a companion guide with it, and we're always doing things. I have blogs. We have other podcasts. I'm doing the Shame-Free Sundays. I don't know how long I'm going to do it, so we'll see. Kind of we're just doing all the things. We're just out there living life and trying to do the best that we can.
Yeah, we want people to hear that you can work on your mental health and be a believer.
Yeah,
that you
absolutely.
can be broken and a work in progress. That you can have grief in the holidays. That you can have joy in the middle of the storm. That you can also have sorrow in the middle of a party. And that doesn't disqualify you from seeking healing, from seeking community, from finding a better way to connect with your faith and to connect with other people. And we are just doing this as an act of love. We hope you guys share it and that it reaches as many people as it can, and it helps people heal and walk their journey. I kind of want to try something fun before we say goodbye, just because Thanksgiving is going to be around the corner, and I just want people that have seen it just to comment what they're making for Thanksgiving. So like everybody has different traditions. I know you said Christmas Eve you do a traditional Italian meal. I'm just curious, who does turkey, who does ham, who does both, who does, what do you guys prepare for Thanksgiving? And Taco Bell is perfectly acceptable, no judgment, whatever it is that you do. You may not even celebrate it. Feel free to share that and be like, it's just a Thursday. That's perfectly fine. I just am interested in hearing that, because we talk about new traditions. You might be giving somebody an idea on how to transform a holiday into something different. They might want to try one of your traditions and see if it works for them. So share your traditions. I'll be sharing mine.
Yay. Yeah. All right. Well, we will see you guys next month. All right. Bye-bye. Isa and I would like to thank you for watching this episode of A Better Way. Isa has challenged us to share our favorite holiday traditions, so please share yours below. Thank you for watching. All right, bye-bye.